explore funding options to get an understanding of how you'll fund a project. It's a good idea not to use your own money. It's better to have that working for you in other ways. So generally speaking, you can get around 80% finance on the property without too much trouble from a bank or other lending institution, but you do need to find the other 20% of the value plus the renovation costs. You can use equity from another property, but if you don't have that, you may have a family member who does, or you may go into a joint venture, form a syndicate. There are many ways of funding a renovation. I guess the best thing to do is to actually start thinking and working on it. And once you do that, things begin to open up. Don't let money be a reason that you don't start. Look at ways that you can actually get going. Now, eliminate the clutter and focus. I'm talking about clutter everywhere. Sell things that you don't use so that you've got the cash rather than having stuff lying around. Also, eliminate the clutter in your head. Start focusing on the thing that you're working on, which is increasing your wealth. I call it retirement saving, but it can just be wealth in general, and focusing on it will have things start to happen. Talk to banks, brokers and JV partners. Also talk to insurance agents, because obviously once you start to focus on this, you need to be looking at all aspects of your profile and your life insurance and risk management. Endeavour to get pre-approval for your project. Okay, so lower the barriers to success. I talk a lot about this as we go along. One of my big things is working close to home, because I think when you've got a home-based business, you shouldn't be spending hours in the car. It's just a waste of time. Then get an understanding of the different strategies. Now, I talked to you about the fact that we renovated our own home. If you're very risk averse, this is a really good way of making money that you don't have to pay capital gains tax on the profit. Well, certainly for the first couple. It may get to a point where it's obvious that you're doing it as a business and that you won't get the exemption, but at least initially, you'll be able to do that. And there is no other way of making that amount of money tax-free, legally at least. The other thing is it does reduce the risk, because you're not covering the cost of two properties that don't have an income. When you have children, it's difficult, but if you don't, it's a good option. It may not be ideal from a lifestyle point of view, but if it makes a difference of you retiring in comfort rather than below the poverty line, it's a discomfort that's actually worth putting up with. The second strategy is increasing the rental return. It's a fantastic way of taking a property that's in negative cash flow to positive cash flow. And of course, the third way is buying a property to sell, just to make a cash profit. You need to arm yourself with the right tools, and I'm all for technology. There's lots of things like cloud-based accounting and paperless systems, but the absolute minimum is the smartphone. I cannot function without it. I love my smartphone so much that the Australian iPhone magazine did a feature on my use of the smartphone. But as far as running a renovation is concerned, it's fantastic. One thing I use a lot is a camera. I can monitor progress just by taking photos. They are dated, and it helps keep track of what's going on. It's a bit like visual journaling. I also keep a set of plans in a folder in my phone, so if I need a quote, I don't even have to leave site to organise it. I can just shoot an email off and the plans are attached. Okay, so the most common mistakes renovators make. Don't do enough research. We fell into this category in the early days. I was lucky that I came through okay, but if I'd known what I know now, I would have made a lot more money. Another mistake is not getting their markets. Well, they're actually related. It's the research that makes a difference. You need to know who you are going to be selling to and what it is they want. If you do that, you are streets ahead of the rest. Another mistake is they think it's all about building, and it's not. I actually wrote about an example that I saw recently where a local builder purchased a property and renovated it. I looked at the property, but he bought it, and I'm pretty sure he would have lost money on it. He did a beautiful renovation, so it wasn't that. He didn't understand his market and he paid the price. Unrealistic timeframes. Time is money, especially when you're paying interest. So you need to be realistic or you will create a second problem, which will be a budget blowout. Unrealistic budgets. You need to have solid figures before you put in an offer on a property. I've known of people fudging the budget to make the deal work, and that just doesn't work. And DIY. Unless you're a tradesman yourself, you'll be slower and your quality will not be the same. So I would consider just managing the process but using trades. Well, I think that's essential. That way you keep the project moving quickly and efficiently. The quality is good and you have enough work just managing the trades, let alone doing the work yourself. Now I'm going to walk through the anatomy of a renovation, which is what it's all about. The traditional type of property investing is where you buy property and then wait for it to grow in value organically. This is about manufacturing the capital growth. To do that, you need to first buy the right property at or below market value. You need to add phenomenal value on multiple fronts. In the shortest possible time, at the lowest possible cost, to produce a property that meets a need in the market, and doing it in such a way that it evokes an emotional response with the buyer so that it sells or rents for the maximum amount of money and that you retain the maximum profit. Now, with the research, I'll do this in more detail in a later session, but in short, you need to know what's in demand in your area. Who is your market and what are their needs and wants? Know the prices of fixer-uppers and the renovated properties. You need to look at least 40 odd properties in each of your buying and your selling bracket. Know where not to renovate. Areas where there are new land releases and house and land packages are the same or less than established houses are a problem. Areas where there's a high crime rate is another example.